Come on, welcome to the lecture of general anatomy. So today we are going to study about the topic appendicular skeleton. The objective of this lecture is to gain the knowledge about appendicular skeleton and the components which are mainly by components we are meaning that the bones which are forming the part of the appendicular skeleton. Simply, the appendicular skeleton allows us to move and manipulate the objects, includes all the bones other than the axial skeleton. It includes the bones of the upper limb, that is the limbs of upper limb and the lower limbs, and its supporting girdles like the pectoral and the pelvic girdles. This is the diagrammatic representation that which part of our body is representing the appendicular skeleton. Basically, these are the, in other words, appendicular skeleton can be told as these are the extremities, like the associated girdles or the supporting portion where the hands and legs are getting attached to our main body. The parts of the appendicular skeleton are the bones which is forming the pectoral girdle, they are scapula and clavicle. Apart from that, the bones of the upper limb, they are humerus, radius, ulna, carpal bones, metacarpal bones, and the phalanges. Next is when we are moving towards the lower side, it is formed by the hip bone or the pelvic bone, which is forming the pelvic girdle. And apart from that, bones of the lower limb that includes the femur, patella, tibia, fibula, tarsal, metatarsal, and phalanges. So these are the names of the bone which is forming the part of the appendicular skeleton. Now we are going to study each one in detail. So the pectoral girdle is also called as the shoulder girdle. It connects the arms to the body, it positions the shoulder, and it provides a base for arm movement. Basically, if the pectoral girdle is not there, our arm cannot be moved freely. It consists of two types of bone. Basically, they are available. Basically, we are having two shoulders. So, the clavicle and scapulae are the bones which are forming the pectoral girdle. They are two in numbers, like two clavicle and two scapulas are there, which connects with the axial skeleton only at the manubrium, that is the clavicosternal joint. So basically, the only position where the appendicular skeleton is getting attached to the axial skeleton is at the place of sternum. The upper portion of the sternum is known as manubrium, where the clavicle is going to get attached. So this is the only attachment area by which the pectoral girdle and pelvic girdle are getting attached. Sorry. The next is the clavicle. Clavicle is also called as collarbone. It is long as shaped bone. It originates at the manubrium, that is the medial end is getting attached to the manubrium of the sternum itself and articulate with the scapula at the acromial end. The scapulae is also called as shoulder bone. Basically, it is broad, flat, and triangular in shape. So, mainly due to the triangular in shape, we can easily identify which is the scapular bone. It articulates with arms and collarbone. The humerus is also called the arm. It is a type of long bone and forms the upper arm bone, or it is also called as upper arm bone. Basically, it has two ends. It articulates with the upper end at the under end with the pectoral girdle, and the lower end it gets attached to the radius and ulna and forms the elbow joint. The forearm is basically consists of, or it is also called as antebrachium. It is formed by the fusion or the combination of two bones, that which is a type of long bone. The name of each of the bone is radius and ulna. Ulna is located medially and radius is located laterally. The wrist portion is formed by the eight carpal bones are combining together and form the wrist region, and which is arranged in two rows. That is, the four proximal carpal bones are there and four distal carpal bones are there, which allows the wrist to bend and twist in all the directions. The metacarpal bones, they are 5 long bones of the hand. The number are from 1 to 5 from the lateral, that is from the thumb region area to the medial end. It articulates with the proximal phalanges and form the finger joint. The phalanges, they are total 14 in numbers. Basically, further we can divide into thumb and the fingers. The thumb is going to contain 2 bones, that is the 2 phalanges are there, which are proximal and distal phalanges. And fingers, all the fingers in our hands are containing 3 bones. They are proximal phalanges, middle phalanges, and the distal phalanges. Now we are moving on to the lower portion of the body, that is the lower extremities, which is formed by the pelvic girdle and the lower limb. The pelvis bone is consisting of 2 ossa coccyx along with the sacrum and coccyx are combined together to form the pelvic girdle. It is helping in the stabilization by the ligament of the pelvic girdle along with the sacrum and lumbar vertebrae. The ligaments of these bones are combining together and stabilizing the pelvic girdle to remain in its intact position. The ossa coccyx is also called as hip bone. It is strong to bear the weight and stress of the movement which is happening within our body. Each is made up of 3 fused bones. They are ilium, ischium, and pubis. Basically, ilium is the bone which is going to articulate with the sacrum to form the posterior wall of the pelvic girdle. Ischium and pubis are combining together to form the lower portions where the femur is coming, the bone of the lower limb is coming and getting attached to the body. The lower limb is basically the function of the lower limb is to for weight bearing and the movement of the body. Now we are going to cover about what are the bones that are forming the lower limb. It includes the femur which is present in the thigh region, patella which is the kneecap, tibia and fibula which is forming the leg region, tarsal which is forming the ankle, metatarsal which is forming the foot region, and the phalanges which is forming the toes. Now we are going to start with patella. Basically patella is also called as kneecap. So basically it is located in the knee region. It is formed within the tendons of the quadriceps femoris which is located in the knee region. Now we are going to cover about tibia, which is also called as shin bone, which supports the body weight and while the movement of the body is happening. It is larger than the fibula bone and it is located medial to the fibula. The fibula is attached with the muscles of the feet and toes together so that the movement of the leg or the lower portion of the legs can move. It is the size of the fibula is smaller than the tibia and it is located lateral to tibia. Now we are going to move towards the bones of the ankle which is known as the tarsal bone. It is also called as tarsus and there are 7 tarsal bones are combining together to form the tarsal bones or the ankle region of our legs. Basically, as we can see in the diagram, the 7 bones are talus, calcaneus, cuboid, navicular, and the cuneiform bone. Basically, the cuneiform bones are 3 in numbers. So, based on their location, they are lateral, intermediate, and medial tarsal bones. Now we are moving on to the feet or the foot portion of our legs. It is going to consist with the 5 long bones of the foot are there. They are also numbered 1 to 5 from medial to lateral. It articulates with the toes and forms the toe joint, or for that due to which our movement of the foot can happen. Now we are moving on towards the phalanges. Basically the phalanges are the bones of the toes which is for, or in other words we can say the fingers of the legs. The toes can be further divided into 2 areas, that is the big toe which is the hallux is the other name of the big toe which is going to contain 2 phalanges bones, that is the distal and proximal bones, and the other 4 toes are going to contain 3 phalanges. which is they are distal phalanges, medial phalanges, and the proximal phalanges. These are the references from where the content has been taken. It has been taken from the D.D. Chaucia Handbook of General Anatomy, Peter L. Williams and Roger Warwick Gray's Anatomy, T.S. Ranganathan Textbook of Human Anatomy, and the pictures has been taken from the internet, and the contents, some of them has been found by me also.